Hey, we're in Jeremiah. We're going to take on 5 chapters today, Jeremiah 40 through 44 in the Good News version. It would appear that Jeremiah has been caught up with the captives as Babylonia has captured Judah and Jerusalem. There's a town that's called Ramah, 6 miles north of Jerusalem, and it seems to be acting as the staging area to where to disperse all of the captives, where they're going to go. So let's find out how Jeremiah gets out of this mess. So Jeremiah is sent to Egypt. In chronological order, chapter 40 is probably Jeremiah's, chapter 44 is probably Jeremiah's last prophecy. It's possible that the Jewish community in Egypt heard Jeremiah's warnings and repented, because by the time the New Testament comes around, there's a very strong, very large Jewish community that's in Egypt. So let's close with the prayer that came from what we just read. May God show us the way in which we should walk and the thing we should do. Hey, we are in Jeremiah now, chapters 40 through 44. We're going to take on five chapters today, and it would appear that Jeremiah has been caught up with the captives. They're taken to this town called Ramah. It's about 6 miles north of Jerusalem. Here is kind of like the staging area of where the captives are going to go before going on to Babylonia, since the Babylonians have just completely obliterated Judah and Jerusalem. But Jeremiah gets out of it. So let's begin reading in chapter 40 to see how he gets out of this mess. The Lord spoke to me after Nebuzaradan, the commanding officer, had set me free at Ramah. I had been taken there in chains along with the other people from Jerusalem and Judah who were being taken away as prisoners to Babylonia. The commanding officer took me aside and said, "The Lord your God threatened this land with destruction, and now he has done what he said he would. All this happened because your people sinned against the Lord and disobeyed him. Now I am taking the chains off your wrists and setting you free. If you want to go to Babylonia with me, you may do so, and I will take care of you. But if you don't want to go, you don't have to. You have the whole country to choose from, and you may go wherever you wish." When I did not answer, Nebuzaradan said, "Go back to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam and grandson of Shaphan, whom the king of Babylonia has made governor of the towns of Judah. You may stay with him and live among the people, or you may go anywhere you think you should." Then he gave me a present and some food to take with me, and let me go on my way. I went to stay with Gedaliah in Mizpah, and lived among the people who were left in the land. Some of the Judean officers and soldiers had not surrendered. They heard that the king of Babylonia had made Gedaliah governor of the land and had placed him in charge of all those who had not been taken away to Babylonia, the poorest people in the land. So Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, Johanan, son of Kareah, Sariah, son of Tanhumeth, the sons of Ephi from Netopha, and Jezaniah from Maacah, went with their men to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Gedaliah said to them, "I give you my word that there is no need for you to be afraid to surrender to the Babylonians. Settle in this land, serve the king of Babylonia, and all will go well with you. I myself will stay in Mizpah and be your representative when the Babylonians come here. But you can gather and store up wine, fruit, and olive oil, and live in the villages you occupy." Meanwhile, all the Israelites who were in Moab, Ammon, Edom, and other countries heard that the king of Babylonia had allowed some Israelites to stay on in Judah, and that he had made Gedaliah their governor. So they left the places where they had been scattered and returned to Judah. They came to Gedaliah at Mizpah, and there they gathered in large amounts of wine and fruit. After this, Johanan and the leaders of the soldiers who had not surrendered came to Gedaliah at Mizpah. and said to him, "Don't you know that King Baalis of Ammon has sent Ishmael to murder you?" But Gedaliah did not believe it. Then Johanan said privately to him, "Let me go and kill Ishmael, and no one will know who did it. Why should he be allowed to murder you? That would cause all the Jews who have gathered around you to be scattered, and it would bring disaster on all the people who are left in Judah." But Gedaliah answered, "Don't do it. What are you saying about Ishmael is not true." In the 7th month of that year, Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah and grandson of Elishama, a member of the royal family and one of the king's chief officers, went to Mizpah with 10 men to see Governor Gedaliah. When they were all eating a meal together, Ishmael and the 10 men with him pulled out their swords and killed Gedaliah. Ishmael also killed all the Israelites who were with Gedaliah at Mizpah and the Babylonian soldiers who happened to be there. The next day, before anyone knew about Gedaliah's murder, 80 men arrived from Shechem, Shiloh, and Samaria. They had shaved off their beards, torn their clothes, gashed themselves. They were taking grain and incense to offer in the temple. So Ishmael went out from Mizpah to meet them, weeping as he went. Then he came to them. He said, "Please come in to see Gedaliah." As soon as they were inside the city, Ishmael and his men killed them and threw their bodies in a well. But there were 10 men in the group who said to Ishmael, "Please don't kill us. We have wheat, barley, olive oil, and honey hidden in the fields." So he spared them. The well into which Ishmael threw the bodies of the men he had killed was the large one that King Asa had dug when he was being attacked by King Baasha of Israel. Ishmael filled the well with the bodies. Then he made prisoners of the king's daughters and all the rest of the people in Mizpah, from Nebuzaradan, the commanding officer, had placed under the care of Gedaliah. Ishmael took them prisoner and started off in the direction of the territory of Ammon. Johanan and all the army leaders with him heard of the crime that Ishmael had committed. So they went after him with their men and overtook him near the large pool of Gibeon. When Ishmael's prisoners saw Johanan and the leaders and the forces with him, they were glad and turned and ran to them. But Ishmael and 8 of his men got away from Johanan and escaped to the land of Ammon. Then Johanan and the leaders of the forces with him took charge of the people whom Ishmael had taken away as prisoners from Mizpah after murdering Gedaliah, soldiers, women, children, and eunuchs. They were afraid of the Babylonians because Ishmael had murdered Gedaliah, whom the king of Babylonia had made governor of the land. So they set out for Egypt in order to get away from the Babylonians. On the way, they stopped at Shimham near Bethlehem. Then all the army leaders, including Johanan, son of Kareah, and Azariah, son of Hoshea, came with people of every class and said to me, "Please do what we ask you. Pray to the Lord our God for us. Pray for all of us who have survived. Once there were many of us, but now only a few of us are left, as you can see. Pray that the Lord our God will show us the way we should go and what we should do." I answered, "Very well then. I will pray for the Lord our God, to the Lord our God, just as you have asked. And whatever he says, I will tell you. I will not keep back anything from you." Then they said to me, "May the Lord be a true and faithful witness against us if we do not obey all the commands that the Lord our God gives you for us. Whether it pleases us or not, we will obey the Lord our God, to whom we are asking you to pray. All will go well with us if we obey him." 10 days later, the Lord spoke to me, so I called together Johanan, all the army leaders who were with him, and all the other people. I said to them, "The Lord, the God of Israel, to whom you sent me with your request, has said, if you are willing to go on living in this land, then I will build you up and not tear you down. I will plant you and not pull you up. The destruction I brought on you has caused me great sorrow. Stop being afraid of the king of Babylonia. I am with you, and I will rescue you from his power. Because I am merciful, I will make him have mercy on you and let you go back home. I, the Lord, have spoken. But you people who are left in Judah must not disobey the Lord your God and refuse to live in this land. You must not say, 'No, we will go and live in Egypt, where we won't face war anymore or hear the call to battle or go hungry.' If you say this, then the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says, if you are determined to go and live in Egypt, then the war that you fear will overtake you, and the hunger you dread will follow you, and you will die there in Egypt. All the people who are determined to go and live in Egypt will die, either in war or of starvation or disease. Not one of them will survive. Not one will escape the disaster that I am going to bring on them. The Lord, the God of Israel, says, just as my anger and fury were poured out on the people of Jerusalem, so my fury will be poured out on you if you go to Egypt. You will be a horrifying sight. People will make fun of you and use your name as a curse. You will never see this place again." Then I continued, "The Lord has told you people who are left in Judah not to go to Egypt. And so I warn you now that you are making a fatal mistake. You asked me to pray to the Lord our God for you, and you promised that you would do everything that he commands. And now I have told you, but you are disobeying everything that the Lord our God sent me to tell you. So then, remember this. You will die in war or of starvation or disease in the land where you want to go and live." I finished telling the people everything that the Lord their God had sent me to tell them. Then Azariah, son of Hoshea, and Johanan, son of Kiriah, and all the other arrogant men said to me, "You are lying. The Lord our God did not send you to tell us not to go and live in Egypt. Baruch, son of Neriah, has stirred you up against us so that the Babylonians will gain power over us and can either kill us or take us away to Babylonia." So neither Johanan, nor any of the army officers, nor any of the other people who would obey the Lord's commands to remain in the land of Judah. Then Johanan and all the army officers took everybody left in Judah away to Egypt, together with all the people who had returned from the nations where they had been scattered, the men, the women, the children, and the king's daughters. They took everyone whom Nebuzaradan, the commanding officer, had left under the care of Gedaliah, including Baruch and me. They disobeyed the Lord's command and went into Egypt as far as the city of Taphanes. There the Lord said to me, "Get some large stones and bury them in the mortar of the pavement in front of the entrance to the government building here in the city, and let some of the Israelites see you do it. Then tell them that I, the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, am going to bring my servant King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylonia to this place, and he will put his throne over these stones that you buried, and will spread the royal tent over them. Nebuchadnezzar will come and defeat Egypt. Those people who are doomed to die of disease will die of disease. Those doomed to be taken away as prisoners will be taken away as prisoners. And those doomed to be killed in war will be killed in war. I will set fire to the temples of Egypt's gods, and the king of Babylonia will either burn their gods or carry them off. As shepherds pick their clothes clean of lice, so the king of Babylonia will pick the land of Egypt clean and then leave victorious. He will destroy the sacred stone monuments at Heliopolis in Egypt and will burn down the temples of the Egyptian gods. The Lord spoke to me concerning all of the Israelites living in Egypt, in the cities of Migdol, Taphanes, and Memphis, and in the southern part of the country. The Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, and you yourselves have seen the destruction I brought on Jerusalem and all the other cities of Judah. Even now they are still in ruins, and no one lives in them, because their people had done evil and had made me angry. They offered sacrifices to other gods and served gods that neither they nor you nor your ancestors ever worshipped. I kept sending you my servants, the prophets, who told you not to do this terrible thing that I hate. But you would not listen or pay it any attention. You would not give up your evil practice of sacrificing to other gods. So I poured out my anger and fury on the towns of Judah and on the streets of Jerusalem, and I set them on fire. They were left in ruins and became a horrifying sight as they are today. And so I, the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, now ask why you are doing such an evil thing to yourselves. Do you want to bring destruction on men and women, children and babies, so that none of your people will be left? Why do you make me angry by worshiping idols and by sacrificing to other gods here in Egypt, where you have come to live? Are you doing this just to destroy yourself so that every nation on earth will make fun of you and use your name as a curse? Have you forgotten all the wicked things that have been done in the towns of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem by your ancestors, by the kings of Judah and their wives, and by you and your wives? But to this day you have not humbled yourselves. You have not honored me or lived according to all the laws that I gave you and your ancestors. So then, I, the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, will turn against you and destroy all Judah. As for the people of Judah who are left and are determined to go and live in Egypt, I will see to it that all of them are destroyed. All of them, great and small, will die in Egypt, either in war or of starvation. They will be a horrifying sight. People will make fun of them and use their name as a curse. I will punish those who live in Egypt, just as I punished Jerusalem with war, starvation, and disease. None of the people of Judah who are left and have come to Egypt to live will escape or survive. Not one of them will return to Judah, where they long to live once again. No one will return except a few refugees. Then all the men who knew that their wives offered sacrifices to other gods, and all the women who were standing there, including the Israelites who lived in southern Egypt, a large crowd in all, said to me, "We refuse to listen to what you have told us in the name of the Lord. We will do everything that we said we would. We will offer sacrifices to our goddess, the Queen of Heaven, and we will pour out wine offerings to her, just as we and our ancestors, our kings and our leaders used to do in the towns of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. Then we had plenty of food. We were prosperous. We had no troubles. But ever since we stopped sacrificing to the Queen of Heaven and stopped pouring out wine offerings to her, we have had nothing, and our people have died in war and of starvation." And the women added, "When we baked cakes shaped like the Queen of Heaven, offered sacrifices to her, and poured out wine offerings to her, our husbands approved of what we were doing.